what's going on, Dana?
Not much. How are you?
I am, man, what day is it? I'm getting getting
It's
old. Forget what
Saturday.
day it is. It is Saturday. That's right. You know what it is? I go to bed so late and I start my day on that previous day, and then I go to second shift, and then I the day switches over, and then I come back and I'm still in that day behind mindset.
Right, right. I fall behind just because I'm a dum dum. I don't have an excuse.
It's all because of daylight savings time. They told you it was okay. That's
Yeah,
why it needs to go away. My never ending crusade to abolish daylight savings
we're
time.
just gonna move to Indiana and not worry about it.
The farmers will be fine.
Right.
The, all our farmer listeners,
And the farmers, everything's automated
no,
now anyway. It's not
yeah,
like
those cows are getting milked at 6 a.m. No matter what, no matter whether it's light out or dark out.
right.
They're getting that milk.
Um,
So
but you're doing
this
okay otherwise?
doing pretty good. I'm sorry, I did not mean to immediately derail this new this new episode of Two Guys Talking Twice.
Talking toys. Yep.
Thank you everyone for joining us. Thanks for telling your friends. Thanks for liking the video. Thanks for subscribing to the video. We appreciate it a lot. No, I think
Tom got grumpy fast today.
I feel like that was a fairly upbeat. Uh, Aside from my crusade against daylight savings time, not too.
Right. Right.
We had an outing, sort of today.
We did have an outing. We had
A little bit.
lunch.
Lunch was fun.
Hmm.
Lunch was fun as usual. Attempted to go to a mini little like collector convention thing that wound up being canceled, which was not for being inappropriate. It just wasn't able to come together. So
Right. Yeah, it was an odd experience. I felt like I kept looking at the ad, like today is the 7th, right? Checking the time. I was checking the time, checking the date. I must have checked the time and checked the date on my watch 400 times in the 15 minutes we were standing there.
I got your text when I was on the way, and you're like, "There's nobody here. It's very quiet." And I was like, "Oh, well, maybe they're just kind of straggling in." And then you're like, "There's
Right.
nobody." They said they don't
There's
know what
nobody.
they're talking about. I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
no, Dana, run!"
It was a trap. It was
Crap.
like one of those hard, you know what it probably was? I've read articles about the police who want to get guys with outstanding warrants. They'll
Mm,
send out an invitation to come meet the Yankees, and then these idiots show up, and
wow.
and the
Yeah.
police just arrest them. So if you got an outstanding warrant, you'd get an invite to come meet the Yankees. It's some fake like you won this, come meet the Yankees, and then you show up and you're arrested.
Wow, that's a real low opinion of Yankee fan.
Hey, it
Wow.
works.
You're like, these guys
It's
are scumbags and criminals. Come meet your
those
favorite Yankee. Now
those
get in the van.
Bronx Bombers.
Wow. I am sorry. This is why I don't do sports. I don't. I don't
I
get
thought, I thought you
stuck
were
in
going to say, this
some
is why
sort
I
of.
don't do crime. Like,
Oh my.
you made it sound like you don't do sports so you don't get caught for the crimes you're committing.
That is that is not not my intention, but that is a take. I'm totally crimeless. I promise. None of us have committed any of the crimes, and don't like the Yankees. So don't you'll never catch me, coppers.
Hey, did you get anything new aside from not getting anything new today at a show?
Yeah, unfortunately, got nothing new today. Uh, I didn't technically get like as far as like purchasing things, didn't buy anything new, but I did find something that I guess technically isn't even new, but I did re-find it, so it's kind of new. It's re-new to me. I want to make as little sense as possible. So
You're like, I need a flow chart.
this
Oh, I
guy,
love those guys.
yeah. So I was going through, I was rearranging boxes and kind of like resorting things, and I found this Ben 10
Yeah.
figure of Wrath, and I loved. I stopped watching Ben 10. I didn't watch the show when it first came on because it replaced Teen Titans, and I had no reason to be as bitter as I was. Teen Titans didn't owe me anything, and Ben 10 didn't owe me anything. But I
They
didn't
owe
watch
me
the
a lot.
show. Yeah, I didn't watch the show for a while, and then I was like, "Oh, that's kind of neat." And then the toy started popping up, and my nephew started watching it, and they were really into it. So,
Yeah. So was Jared. That's how I
yeah,
discovered it.
I like the animation style. Derek Wyatt, to me, it's some of Derek Wyatt's best stuff, like his best like designs, and I really love the overall look of it. So I got into it, and then I got into it for my nephews, and then kind of fell out of it again. But I never stopped they like the toys, so it
So
became
well made.
efficient. Yeah, they're really solid figures, and I don't. This is one of those times where the I think the figure quality overshadows the basic animation,
I
the
feel
basic
like you're scolding
articulation
me
that
with
this
that
had.
thing.
Hmm?
I feel like you're scolding me with that.
Listen, don't make me repeat myself. Said this how many times? One time. That's how many times. No, it's one of the few times where he only has what, 2, 4, 6, maybe 7 points of articulation, but that was enough for me because the sculpting is really good on this guy, and I
Yeah.
liked that instead of coming up with just random gimmicks or I mean, there were toys from the Ben 10 line that had kind of like the gimmicky thing, but these were all basic and they came out fast. Like you were just waves and waves and waves of them coming out. And I remember towards the end they did I forgot the name. I forgot what the subline was called, but all they did
Right,
was
they did
swap the
another one, and
colors.
it was more and more monsters.
Yeah,
Like he had like 4 or 5 originally, right, with the watch,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then I forget what it was. You're right. There was another like the next chapter. He was a little
yeah,
older, and
yeah,
it was Ben 10 Extreme or something along those lines,
yeah.
and he had a whole library of monsters that would pop up without him even knowing.
And I wish I could find them because I know I have them. Because what there's this is not the original coloring for Wrath. Wrath was just like a anthropomorphic tiger that
Right.
Macho Man, which is what made him so entertaining. But one of the lines they came out with was just jumbling up the colors. They took, these are the colors of one character. We're going to put them on this other character body, and that was such a neat, simple idea. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's cool. And some of the color combos like this really work really well.
They did a bigger, hyper detailed, like 7-inch
Yes,
line too, with Kickin' Chicken and some
yes.
other, and it was phenomenal. It was really
I
good.
was I was really impressed with those. They had like the like a little bit of a wash on them to really highlight the detailing of the sculpt. And
Yeah.
this was yes, Ben 10 solid line. So once my nephews they kind of got out of it and their taste changed. I think that was the changeover from Ben 10 to like wrestling. So they wanted like wrestling figures.
Right.
And we boxed all of them up and then it hit the point where they just they didn't want them anymore. So I kind of picked through and I grabbed the ones that I wanted, and then they I think they sold the rest of like a garage sale or something. But this was a fun thing to recollect, going down memory lane and having fun memories of my nephew saying Humongousaur and doing the spin to turn into Humongousaur.
I want to say Jared was Humongous Store for Halloween one time, and
Was
then he was another character. I can't remember which one, but yeah,
mm-hmm.
he was
Yeah,
big.
Ben 10, solid line. What
Give it a 10.
I 10 out of 10.
Ben 10 out of 10.
Except for the episode called 10 oh Ben 10 million, I think it was called, where they go into the future and they meet future Ben and he's just a boring old guy. He doesn't turn into aliens anymore. He just has their powers. And I was like, oh, Ben 10 million kind of stinks.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
Nope.
1 out of 10 million. So I keeping keeping the streak alive. This is almost becoming a chore. Got to find out what's in these boxes that I continue to order and then don't open because I let them stack up and I'm like, I'll just open them on the
Are you
show.
like building a fort out of them? I don't understand what you're doing with them.
You know what? It hit the point where it was getting pretty bad and I almost could create an entire, if I needed to duck and cover, I could duck and cover behind these piles of boxes. This is like when I was still in Philadelphia and I hit the point where I felt like I was going to be able to settle in, like just kind of like live there and get whatever job and whatnot. And I had started collecting Zoids.
Right.
And it was around the time that KB was starting to go out of business and Toys R Us was clearancing them. So I had, I kid you not, from floor to ceiling, multiple rows of Zoid kits. And my thought was, because I was teaching at the time, and my thought was, I'm going to go through the school year. And then when summertime comes,
right, we all have those
back,
big plans for
yeah,
summer when we're teaching.
I'm just going to sit back, relax, and build Gojulus Giga. And it's going to be a fun time. And it didn't quite work out that way. So that pile of Zoids had to go. But that's where I'm getting to that point again with these boxes that I need to keep opening. But I also didn't have two guys talking toys at that time. So there was no way to find out.
I'm glad that I can help keep you on track.
Yeah. So this way, I'm actually doing something with these. Although I a lot of these are still like unopened once I pull them out of the box.
Right.
They wind up as dressing behind me. One day. All right, what do we got? What did we got in
What
here?
did you use to open the box?
Oh, I've been pretty consistent. Once I got these
Okay,
scissors, these have been helping me open these up without too much of an issue.
just checking.
If I could just get, this is why I kind of wish the world of Mega Man was real. Not for all the building destruction and Dr. Wily trying to take over. I just want Cutman so that he can
Right.
open boxes for me. That's it. That's
Okay.
all I do.
That's a fair use of that power.
If you're like, you want me to go cut down some trees and do some logging? No. I got this box. I'm dude, come on over.
In a box. I bought a little block of cheese. Let's go.
Yeah, we're doing the podcast now. And he's like, the podcast. Every day with this. So I've been excited to get this. This is the Transformers Legacy version of Transformers Armada repaint Galvatron.
Oh, I wouldn't even recognize that as Galvatron.
Yeah, so it was.
I like his Galactus hat.
I do love the giant stag antlers. This was definitely a choice that the designers decided to go with for this version of Megatron. So this was, Transformers fans will remember Transformers Armada that came out in the early 2000s, and kind of interesting. That's the series where it was
I remember the Armada series.
Yeah, so they took the smaller robots and stuck them onto each other, and this was, once Transformers the movie, the original movie, popped up and Megatron becomes Galvatron, it's just been an ongoing trope where if you see Megatron in any sort of media, at some point he's probably going to become Galvatron. And it's been done in weird different ways, and they've tackled it in different ways. But I've always loved the Armada repaint of Megatron into Galvatron. Like the color choice is just,
yeah, it's cool.
It's a little weird, but I do really love it. It turns into a tank, so that's kind of neat. And I haven't seen him on store shelves yet, so I don't know if he's like on the way or if my area just didn't get him or what. So this seller also there were two things in that box. This is the second thing.
Oh,
finally got
that's some dental work.
Yeah, he's having a rough time. He really got that whiplash thing going. So now I have. Oh, I'm gonna open two smaller packages that I think might complete this trifecta, because this was one of the reasons that I hated Collector Con that Walmart did, where these guys just sold out in seconds. So yeah. I lucked out and managed to find a seller online. This is actually Terror and Lord Grasp, I think, have kind of come down in price finally. Oh, and this is interesting. The Snake Man logo is upside down. This is not me flipping the package.
Oh, interesting. I wonder if that's a choice or somebody goofed.
I think somebody goofed, because it's not lining up with the indentation here.
Right.
I'll take it.
God, those kids over there get paid almost 12 cents an hour. I don't understand why they can't get this right.
I won't tell anybody that this slipped by quality control, because I don't want them to get whipped or forced to watch Big Bang Theory. I'm not a monster. So, package number 2. I think I know what this is. Aha, I did. So this is Tongue Lasher, who was like the only. This is the Origins version. For reasons I don't fully understand, he did not have a very large run when he was originally released. I don't know why, because everyone else was released in a wave, and then they got a re-release, and I think they were going to re-release him, because I ordered him on Big Bad Toy Store, and then they canceled my order, and I was like, oh no, I need Tongue Lasher, because
Big Bad doesn't do that very often. They canceled my not that they canceled it, but I had the Josie and the Pussycats figure set on pre-order, and they canned it. I guess not enough people ordered it.
Yeah, whenever Big Bad cancels something, I'm inclined to believe that it really was because they didn't meet the minimum order, as opposed to someone maybe pulling a NECA. don't want that to happen. So this is the final one, and then I am curious to see what you got. This, I believe, is Lord Grasp. Because I also found a seller. I remember finding a seller. Yes. All right. So this is Lord. So this completes my snake.
I love his big grin.
He's a happy guy. I mean, when you're rocking this kind of claw, you're a happy dude. You're a happy fella. No one's messing with you. No one's getting in your way. You've got a nifty cape. That's
Yeah, that is a pretty cool cape. Is it? It's cloth?
no. It looks like it though. Like it's
Yeah.
very well textured. It's made out of plastic. No wiring or anything in it. But that would be really
I always
cool.
thought him interesting with the like snake head and the
Yeah,
claw.
yeah. Like you don't
What kind
understand
of
what's going.
Franken-science is this? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't understand what's going on, but I like it.
The
It is a
colors
little.
are great. The colors are fantastic.
When I first saw this design, like I know he's based on concept art that they never had a chance to get into like the main line. Him and Terror
Hmm.
were based on concept war art, and like I really
Right.
hope they do more of this. There's an upcoming 2-pack that they're doing for the Origins line, where it's the concept Hordak and the concept Grizzlor. When Grizzlor was supposed to be a weird, like woolly mammoth style creature
Right.
with
Yep.
a giant bear, so that looks really neat. I hope they continue that because I want. There's a lot of concepts. There's a few other concept snake men that look really cool, and I want all of them. What I kind of don't want is for Mondo to make Lord Grass because then I will have to.
Mondo is making great stuff now, and I can't afford any of it. So,
Have you seen their most recent? I guess they.
Thundercats.
I guess it's a re-release of Rhino of
Yeah.
the Thundercats. Have you seen that? I don't know if the original head or if the original head selection came with smoldering Lion-O. Like when I opened up the my email and I saw all the offerings, I was like, wow, if he was doing this in the show, he would have gotten Chitara. That's
Yeah.
just saying. The Thunder Smolder. Not bad.
Yeah.
I still want their Battle Cat and I want their Panther and I want they did like a really cool anti I forgot his name, like anti cat or like anti He-Man's.
Yeah.
Steed is also like a really cool black and red battle cat that I would murder to get.
It's Anti-Eternia, isn't he? Or something like
Yes.
that.
Yep. All right. So, what did you get?
I got the 1966 Batman series Wonder Woman.
Nice.
Yeah, this is a great figure. Well sculpted. It's got a little more simple articulation. Got the hips, the knees, the ball shoulders, elbows, head. But I like it because we don't get a lot of Wonder Woman figures that are reminiscent of the television series, the Linda
Yeah.
Carter. So this one kind of has that Linda Carter feel about it, and
That is really cool.
they don't make many.
I was just going to ask who makes that one because that's not a McFarlane.
That's McFarlane.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, weird. Oh, I couldn't tell because it looked like the hip joints were just like the T squared or I'm sorry, the T joint.
They are.
Really?
Yeah.
That's very unlike McFarlane. I'm surprised by that.
Well, he does it with the rest of the 66 line, and he does it with the superpowers.
Huh. That is like superpowers. I expect that just because he's mimicking the old style.
Right.
But like his larger figures, the 6 and 7-inch ones, I'm a little surprised.
Yeah,
She
I
does
like it.
really good. That is impressive. And Wonder Woman is apparently one of the few exceptions he will make for creating women.
Right. Yeah.
He's
And then, secondly, I picked this up because I saw it in Target and it always catches my eye and it looked cool, but I had no idea what it was. It turns out this is something right up your alley, Tom. I saw this skull.
I did see that.
With the slime wrapped around it, right? So it caught my eye. So how it works is this. You take off, there's a little button there, right? And you take off this slime coat. And then here where it says pull,
Okay.
you open up that eye socket and you can see there's a piece of foil in there.
Yeah.
And then you would pull that and then pour water in there. And then what happens is a there's I don't know if you can see it, but there's a thing on the roof of its mouth
Okay.
filled with like goo, and then the water mixes and it drops down and fills this with that, and I think it hardens, and
Huh.
then you archaeologically dig through it and you
That's
pull out the pieces of this dinosaur
that's funny.
that's put back together, but that's not it. It's a baby dinosaur, and it has this slime. Even has a little, if you can see the straw, it's modeled to look
Mhm.
like a bendy straw.
Okay.
You put this slime in the dinosaur, and then when you squeeze him, the slime comes out of his mouth.
Oh, that's awesome. So that's a whole little project for
Right, I had no
someone.
idea what it was. Like I figured it had something like a
Mhm.
dinosaur to put. But what I really wanted was the skull because it
Yeah,
looks fantastic.
that is an excellent looking skull.
But then when I opened it, like I did, I they have the thing that
Mhm.
clearly says "read before opening."
You're
I did
like
not do that,
you're like, don't tell me what to do.
and then I saw pull, so I took that out, and then I saw that there was. I was like, nope, I'm not going to pull that. I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm glad I didn't. But it's a cool design. They got that thing
That
on the
is
top of the roof. Water goes in. Pretty neato.
that is really cool. I always see those like because we always look at the like those large. They look like
Right, but
those
like Robo Alive or
yeah,
whatever.
they just
Yeah,
have something random packed in there. And I still kind of regret when we saw what were we in like Burlington Coat Factory and we
yeah,
saw those clear it was a skeletons, but I think they were like the lava ones. So
yeah,
I think they were lavas or like clear red skeletons. And man, do I regret not getting those.
yeah.
That's unfortunate. I should have purchased those. That actually kind of brings me to what I want to talk about this week. I've been when we get older and we have more responsibilities and you start having to be more you're doing more adulting uh you don't buy as many things on site as often as you used to
Right.
and that's what I well, it's the impulse buy.
You mean like
I
this?
Yeah, like just seeing something you're like, oh neat, and you just get it just just to have it.
Yeah, that's
And
all this was. I saw it, and then I was
yeah,
like, "Looks pretty cool." For $6, I can find something to do with that skull.
yeah, and that's actually really cool. I love it's got great paintwork on it. Like I
Yeah,
love
it's
detailing on
really well
it.
done.
One of the biggest I just feel like one of the biggest tragedies is when you see something or like you have a figure and they look great and the sculpting is really really good and there's no paint on it that brings that out. Uh,
Yeah,
a lot of Playmates Ninja Turtles
the
figures
old school stuff.
have,
Yeah,
and they did a pretty good job of highlighting a lot of the weird stuff on it, but sometimes they're just little. Even now, if you go back and look at some of the old stuff, there's a lot of surface area that has a lot of detailing on it that just
right.
doesn't. The even from like the most recent movie, the Super Duper Fly figure that came out, there's
Mhm.
so much detailing packed into that figure. Like all those horses are individually sculpted into the legs, and you don't really see it because it's just brown. And you're like, oh, I kind of wish you give this a pass or two with a wash or something.
It was impulse painting.
Yeah.
So, impulse buying like that dinosaur is
Mm.
a curse, right? Because I feel like I've regretted talking myself out of impulse buys
Yes.
more so than I regret buying the impulse buy.
This is because yeah, it's something that I still kind of grapple with this where you see something you're like, oh, I want to get that. And it's it's a little bit different from the need for that dopamine rush to get
Right.
whatever. It's more, oh, that's really neat and I kind of want it. But then for yeah, you've got other responsibilities, you've got things, or you're just saying to yourself, you don't really need that. Let's move on. And
Right.
you would credit later, like, oh, I should have gotten that thing. It's like you want the soup or the salad, like soup, a salad, no soup. No, except this time you'll never have a chance to get it again, and it stings
Right.
more when it's something that you really really maybe you didn't need it, but you're like, oh, I really wish I could get that, and then you don't get it, and then maybe a month or two later, it's skyrocketed on the secondary market, and you will never. even if it's just a passing thing, like just something quick that you
Yeah.
want to get because it looked neat. Case in point, um, maybe not one to one because I actually came out on the better end of this. Years ago, I was just in like in a Walgreens getting whatever, and I always check the toy section to see if there were like new Transformers. And that was when they were getting the Walgreens exclusive Marvel Legends, and I stumbled across I think it was like the Carbonite Mandalorian, and I was like,
Oh yeah, that was a cool
oh
one.
yeah, and I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. And they had, yeah, you had like the metallic whatever. I at that point, like I hadn't watched the Mandalorian, like I knew of it, but I hadn't started watching it yet. And I knew there was another guy that looked like Boba Fett, and I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. And I saw it on the shelf, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's kind of cool. And I went up, he was on sale, so I got him, I think, for like $15 or whatever. And I came home, and because I don't have a Star Wars display, I just threw them in a pile. I was like, well, I have them
Yeah.
now. Neat. And I didn't spend that much on them, and fine. And there he sat for months, like just months and months. And then I was going through and I was selling some stuff, and, I stumbled across it, and I was like, well, I don't see this very often. Let me see how much he is. And it was I laughed out loud looking at what the aftermarket on him was, because it was a very sought after figure, and the show was doing well, and
Hmm.
we hadn't had any figures of Baby Yoda slash Grogu yet, so everyone was, it was madness. But I remember thinking, wow, there was no reason for me to buy this other than, hey, neat, I'm gonna get this.
Yeah. I the impulse buys are dangerous for me
Mm-hmm.
because I'm one of those like that synapse that fires in my brain that says,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, you have the
Get,
one, and
mhm.
you need more." Right? So
Yeah,
like those bins at Retro Relics are dangerous for me because I'll go
you
through.
always gravitate to those almost immediately.
Right, because it just fills that need of instant, like, so there's to paint a portrait, a word portrait for our loyal listeners. Retro Relics is somewhere Tom and I sell toys, and it's sort of a flea market, if you will, of like-minded people who have a variety of different size areas selling toys, and a lot of them, as collectors know, are in bins, and you can pick up 5 for $20 or something like that, right?
Mhm.
So you rifle through, and you're like, oh, I remember this guy. It's in pretty good shape. I'll take that guy, right? And then you go home, you clean him up, and you're like, man, I like that. I found that guy.
Mhm.
And then you start thinking, that was a pretty good line. I wonder
Yeah.
why I didn't get them when they were out. I guess I gotta find the rest of them, right? Because you just had like, oh, that guy's cool. I want to have
Mhm.
it. And then it goes on. And then you end up like me with a giant basement full of 10,000 action figures
Ah,
and,
but
and an intervention.
but such a but such great display possibilities. That
Yeah, but
it
that's where the impulse buy is dangerous. So if
Mhm.
I talk myself out of it,
Mhm.
I'm fine. Like those bin guys, like I can put one back.
Mhm.
Like I can talk myself out and put it back. And once I walk away,
Mhm.
I can justify, like, I don't have any of those line. Like
Yeah.
I'm fine without that one.
Mhm.
But it's like that it could go either way. It's a 50-50 shot. Like I'm
Yep.
gonna get it, I'm not gonna get it. And it depends on it could just and I'll carry it around sometimes and then
Mhm.
go, nah, I'm gonna
See,
put it back.
it's dangerous for me to have it in hand.
Yeah.
It's usually better for me to not touch it, because then once it's especially in an environment like Retro Relics where you can go through bins and you have the figure actually in your hand, and you're like, oh yeah, now I remember why this is nice. This is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Look
But
at you. This is nice. Yeah, that'll get you there.
that's good stuff. That's the collectible right there. Uh, but for me, it's dangerous to do it because once I have it, now this is mine. Now this is,
Right.
I can't leave this behind because it's mine, and
It's
now I've got, now
this
I'm
is
attached to it.
mine now.
You can't have it. It's my precious. Uh,
Right. You
it's funny you bring up retro relics. Is that actually gives me an actual story of impulse buy loss, where we go every week, and there are certain
oh,
figures
I
that,
know what you're gonna talk about.
yeah, there are certain figures that we look at and we pass by, and you're like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool, and it doesn't get your attention enough where you're like, oh, I gotta get that. The the uh the Ninja Turtle line, there's so many, but the
Yeah.
Ninja Turtle line that came out, where one of the big talking points was, oh, they're so little. and they were a little bit shorter than what we were used to because NECA and Super 7 are making the 6 and 7 inch figures. And these were the highly detailed. I don't remember the name of the company that makes them, but they were really detailed and they have a lot more of a almost like a samurai look. And they named them after the season. So there's like
Mm.
spring. I don't remember what Leonardo is, but Leonardo is out. Donatello came out not that long ago, and you and I were walking through, and they had the Donatello
Yep.
for cheaper than he was going for. If I
Yeah, it
bought
wasn't bad. Wasn't
time and
bad.
shipping, it was a good price. And I had the first time I saw him, I had cash on me, and I was just like, I really want him. I'm gonna get him. But then I saw that, that accessory pack. There's a little accessory pack that comes. I don't know if it's so. I remember if it's sold separately. I think it's sold separately, and it's another head for that Donatello, and it comes with I think like extra turtles or something, and
Mm.
that's how they get you. But it was a separate thing, and it cost not a whole lot. But if I bought them together, then I was like, that eliminates the deal aspect of this of getting this Donatello. So I'm gonna wait. And then for the last over a month or so, he's just been there
Yep.
until last.
And you would go by every week and say hi. You were a
Yeah,
dutiful,
I,
dutiful, hopeful purchaser.
I would stop by that orphanage and I would say hello to that child, and I would say, "You're gonna come home with me at some point, Arnold. I promise." And what was it last week? I don't remember if
Yep.
it was last week or the week before. We
It was
went.
last week.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was right after Black Friday. We went there and he was gone because somebody saw that and they impulse bought and they were correct to do so. And I waited and didn't drop to my knees and yell no, but in my head I did.
I did. I had a similar story, as you know, still there. The Thunder the Barbarian figures.
Oh man, I
All three
felt
of them would have been like $300, a little over
uh,
300. And I looked at them every week, and I was like, it's okay. They're
the,
still there.
the Thundar series.
And I
But
was like, they're still there. It's okay.
I was
All
all
right.
played.
And then and then and then they were gone. And someone bought them. And I was like,
No,
What? No,
no more,
nobody wants those. Those were waiting for me. It's
no
like
more Ula.
I was waiting for like the really pretty girl to come across the dance floor at prom and say, "I've been waiting for you all along." It was like we will be together. It's destiny. And then they were gone. And
Gone.
gone.
Yeah.
And I remember how comforting you were. I appreciate it. Loyalist is like I was like I stood in front of the glass case and I said, "Oh my God." And then Tom came up next to me and realized what I saw, which was
Yeah.
nothing, and he was like, "You okay?"
All right, man. I put my jacket on you. It started
Started
to
to
rain.
rain.
Of course. You're gonna be all right. No, they were just that. I genuinely felt your pain because yeah, like we've all. I feel like especially as collectors, we've all been through it, and even more so when you narrow the scope onto figures that are kind of pricey, and you're
Yep,
like, I'm going to come back for these because either I'm going to scrimp and scrounge or I gotta work myself up to justifying why I'm going to pay this much for these, and
right.
they're just sitting. I feel like those were there from the beginning, almost like the beginning of the time that we started going to this store.
Yeah,
And then I remember they moved around the store a couple of
they
times.
did. Yeah, they were being coy. They were being
Yeah,
coy, playing hard to get. That's what they do.
and they were just there, and we were like, yeah, we would look at them and wave hi to them, and
And now it's the Herculoids.
yes,
Which
now
was
the
like a
Herculoid.
thousand dollars to get those. So that's a big difference. But that's when like not getting because remember I said when I get my bonus because I was working with
Mhm.
American Heart, I was like, if I get when I get my bonus, I'm coming back and I'm buying them. And
Yep.
then I went back and I talked myself out of it. I talked myself
Mm,
out of it.
yep. Yep. Because they've been there for so long, and I think
Mhm.
that's one of the things that is the enemy of the impulse buy is the angel and
Overthinking.
the devil on your shoulder arguing over whether or not. Well, look, it's been there this long. It's not gonna go anywhere, and I don't know which one of the people on your shoulders would be yelling at you to impulse buy it.
There'd be an angel Tom and a devil Tom.
Yeah. I don't know which one of them would be saying, buy it, you'll never see it again.
Right, that both of them are sending a good message. You know what I hate is when we go somewhere. We're away or whatever, we're going to the convention,
Mhm.
we're at a store, and Jared will see something he likes.
Hmm.
Now I know toys and what's coming in and what's going out, and
Yeah.
especially when he was younger, not so much now, but when he was
Hmm.
younger, and he had good taste in toys, and he'd be like, "Oh, I really want to get this." Now my brain's going, "Yeah, man, let's get it."
Get it.
And then his mother would be like, "Well, let's go look around the store. Maybe you find something different." And I'm like, "Oh no, he should buy that now." But now, but
Load your
now,
toy.
but now there's a lesson being taught, right? So like mom's teaching son a lesson about
Mhm.
patience, and my brain's going, "No, you
Yeah,
should get that now." But I
sometimes
can't say that.
that is tough because you know from experience. Oh, that might not be some other snot nosed brat. It's gonna
Right.
run up and grab that, and he's gonna be sad, and you're gonna make my kid sad. And this is gonna end with me having to punch a child, and that's not.
What I usually would do is when they walk away or they go to somewhere else, I would run back to the store as soon as I can and buy it, and then stick it somewhere,
Mhm.
you know,
Yep.
in case, just in case.
See, I'm glad that you went that route instead of buying it, hiding it somewhere, and then taking him back to the store to be like, "Let's go get that thing you wanted." And he gets it, and he's like, "No, it's not there."
I
You're like, "Oh,
have
you
done
should
that. I
have
have done
bought it."
that because
Oh
then
no.
I have because then then he's learned patience, right? And then we get there, and then I get to tell him, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it." Because I didn't wanna rob him the joy of discovering it again and
Yes.
getting to go buy it, right? So
Mhm.
that's, like, part of it is the
Yeah.
experience of, discovery, purchasing, owning,
Mhm.
right? So I didn't wanna take that away. Now if it wasn't there, I would say, "Don't
Mhm.
worry about it. I got one at home for you."
Yeah.
But
You're a good man. raising a good raised a good kid to have good taste and good impulse
but
control.
that the worst feeling is when you're standing there like, "No, he should get that now," but we're too far into the lesson.
Yep. You're like, do I undermine her authority? Not in front of the boy.
No.
It is tough to, and even more so. Like we go to retro relics or time warp, and it's a specialized location, and you have a pretty good idea of who's going to be frequenting and how often something might be there. When you get into like those big box stores, like Target, Walmart, I
Oh,
get
you never know.
when
Especially now. You used to be able to plan for it now.
yeah, now like whatever it is that you discover on a shelf, probably not going to be there Friday. And you're right. It used to be different. It used to be, especially when we still had places like Toys R Us and
Right. And when I was living in Carolina, I could tell you what day
mm-hmm,
Target in Wilmington, Walmart in Wilmington, Toys R Us,
mm-hmm,
what day they restocked, right?
you know, yeah, and it may have been like a restock, and you were pretty sure you had a pretty good idea of how quickly things moved off of the shelves. Like
Mhm.
by the end of the week, this shelf might be empty, but that's fine
Right. But
because
the
they'll
action figure aisle used to be 3 aisles long.
yeah,
Now it's just one. So
and I would
you're
have played
getting like the planograms have been cut by 2/3.
yeah,
So now you're getting far fewer of
mm-hmm,
each figure. You're getting
yep,
one case of classifieds at a time. One
mm-hmm,
case.
yep. And you don't know. I also here's a question: how did you like that distribution model that they were doing for a while, where they would ship cases out? I think Hasbro was doing this. Mattel may have been doing it
Oh,
too.
we are just bouncing topics today. Go
When
ahead.
when they were shipping like just cases of the same figure, because that does play into impulse buying. Once I
Yeah.
realized that this store got like 9 or 10 of the same character, and they're just sitting on the peg, I wasn't inclined to grab it and get it immediately. I
Right.
tended to wait more because I'm like, okay,
Not
we're
me.
doing character. They're just getting characters now. They're not getting like a wave. It used to be, and I mean, I don't know if that's. I think that it's probably changed a little bit, but they would get a wave of figures, and you're like,
Right.
oh, they got, because even when I did my time at Walmart, we would get X number of waves. That was the full assortment of whatever figure, and then I would take one of those box assortments, and it was mine. But when you're a patron and you're going through and you see that wave, you're like, well, I got to impulse buy this entire wave, especially if there's a build a figure because I need that.
Yeah.
When they were just sending out one character, there may have been less of a, maybe you didn't
Oh
get it
God, the
immediately.
builder figures are horrible for those of us that are impulse buyers. And it's not just toys. Like I have a problem with impulse buying. And I
Mhm.
want to talk in a minute about impulse buying online. But
Oh, yeah.
um the Build-A-Figures are a problem because you're like, "Oh, well, I want that Build-A-Figure," but then they're
Mhm.
not all there, right?
Yeah.
So you grab one, and it's always the one you don't want out of the series. You're like, "I don't even know
Yep.
who that guy is, but he's got the right arm, so I need him." And you buy him. And then you may see another one time. But when you don't get the whole Build-A-Figure,
Yep.
it's soul crushing. I have a box full of three-quarter Build-A-Figures. I'm about to start mashing them together and have a Paca Aries, Sasquatch, and just make this guy
Your
out of
leg
this
is an
because
arm now. It doesn't matter.
right,
Yep.
because it hurts my heart every time I see the box. And then, but a lot of the figures in the line, and ones I didn't really want, like you always
Yeah.
say, we had to pay the Iron Man tax and the Wolverine tax. But
Yep.
build a figures are tough for completionists and impulse buyers because of that perception of you're getting more
Hmm.
value for what you're paying, right? But
Yeah.
then Marvel Legends ruined it by charging more for build a figure figures.
Hmm.
Remember when you used to get the part and they were big parts for
Yeah.
no more
I,
money, right?
I yeah, you're right. It's definitely tough because it's especially when that wave has a super popular character. Like anyone that wanted who is it? Power Woman? She's in the
Yeah,
syndicate.
yeah,
Um or she's the Power Princess, I'm sorry.
the
Anyone that
Wonder Woman.
wanted anyone that just wanted that one section of the void that came with Power Princess, you're out of luck because I mean, and especially if you just even if you wanted Power Princess and that part, you're out of luck because she is.
Right, gone.
I've never seen her on a shelf ever.
Nope. But
Uh,
then you don't see anything. Like I haven't seen Jinx or a couple of classified figures. Never
mhm.
seen them on the shelf.
Yeah, yeah, they're very scattered. When you do see them, yeah, because then you're. I guess it changes your motivation for doing the impulse buy.
Yeah,
It's it's like I need this because I don't know when I'll ever see it again. Versus, oh, that's neat. Let me just get it now.
right. The
It's
that's neat
part of the
is a
hunt.
problem, but I've gotten that under control
Hmm.
in stores. I have not gotten that under control. Like I have to go, no joke, at least a few times a month,
Hmm.
go through my pre-orders and
Yes.
cull them and cull it. If I didn't do that, I would be homeless because I will impulse pre-order at so many things. And
Impulse
it's like,
pre-ordering is a great subsection of
my
impulse buy.
gosh, it's so hard. You're like,
Yep.
oh my God, that is neat. I never heard of that toy company. I never, but that is awesome in the box. Boom. Because there's no pain. There's no
Yeah.
pain, right? Because there's no consequence for impulse pre-ordering
It
until you
becomes
forget about it.
yep. It becomes it's such a great that's a it's this is a this is a great subsection. It becomes you get the enjoyment of saying, oh, that's great, I've locked it in, I'm gonna get this at some point, and there's not going to be some frantic wasting of gas to drive around and find whatever.
Right.
But and
It gives
also
you peace of mind.
yes, it is no longer the problem of you who are in this present moment. This is a problem for March Tom. This is a
Right.
problem for
Right.
July Tom. He's going to have that problem. I'm just going to presume that between now and when June Tom is going to be freaking out, that he will have become independently wealthy. He will have won the
Right.
lottery. He will have found a briefcase full of money. Like one of those things will happen, but I don't have to deal with that right now because I'm just hitting the pre-order button and
Right.
securing
And
this feature.
I'll tell you what, Impulse by Dana
100%.
online is a generous fellow.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, oh, Derek would love that pre-order. Dale would really like to have that pre-order.
No, no, no muss, no fuss. No muss, no fuss.
Yeah. And when I go through, I'm like, no, I can't buy all these.
I cannot look at the total at the end of my pre-order list because I'm just like, you should be ashamed of yourself.
And then you go and you do it. You knock out like I'll knock out
Mhm.
like 10 or 15 pre-orders every time I do it.
Yeah, you're like,
And
I
then
don't.
I go back to my account page and I'm like, the number drops from like, you have 85 pre-orders that will range from now until the day you die, right? and then it drops down to like 68, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, nailed it. That's
Nailed it. Now I have room to put more in. And then I go, well, let me see what's new. Pre-order, pre-order,
yep.
pre-order, pre-order.
Because
The
any
worst is when you get the notice,
Mhm.
pre-order processing soon.
then
And then you read it and you're like, I don't even want that. Why did I order it? Because it was that impulse. And then you gotta rush, like, oh my God, I gotta get it canceled before and then if you forget and then you say pre-order in your pile of loot, bam, and you're like, "Grr, darn it.
my impulse pre-ordering, and I've probably talked about this before. My impulse pre-ordering is so bad that it hit the point where I had to keep. I would pre-order on multiple sites
Yeah.
just because.
You're
Yeah,
worse than I am.
every don't be like me. Like avoid. Learn from my lessons. Or I was pre-ordering from like if something went up on say like Hasbro Pulse. Sometimes Hasbro Pulse, which is it's weird when Hasbro Pulse does not get their items before anyone else. Like I know that they
Right.
are not a warehouse attached to the main Hasbro headquarters, so they're their own entity, just operating as Hasbro Pulse. But I remember it being so weird and being unreasonably upset that there would be figures that I would have had pre-ordered on Pulse that would have come in stock on say like Amazon or Entertainment Earth or Big Bad Toy Store. So when new things were announced, I would just run the gamut. Amazon, Big Bad, Hasbro Pulse, maybe Entertainment Earth, depending on whether or not it qualified for the free shipping, and then
Mm.
just play the waiting game. So whichever one of those pre-orders hit first, I'd be like, "Oh, neat, that's shipping," and then I wouldn't think about it until Big Bad is like, "Your order processed," and I was like, "Oh no, I don't need 3 She-Hulks." But now I have 3 She-Hulks because the next day Amazon would be like, "Hey, guess what's coming your way? You
Yep.
can't stop me; it's already there."
It's already there.
So then
Yeah.
you wind up with 3 She-Hulks. It was a great figure. It's great. I just don't need 3 of her. Mostly because I can't figure out who to turn her into aside from Red She-Hulk. Who they just need to repaint her into.
Right.
Do it,
That's an easy
Hasbro.
done. Yeah, the on the pre-order impulse is much like I've gotten better, like the in-person in stores, but online, I'm a maniac. Like
It,
I
well, like you said, it's so easy to do.
right,
It's like the Time War. It's just a jump to the left. You're set.
right. Gosh, I think you should I'll put the music on. Tom, you want to do time one?
I just listened to a podcast where they watched the Rocky Horror Picture Show and talked
Right.
about midnight showings. And those are always fun.
Oh, they are. And I've been in Rocky Horror Picture Show, like a
That is
cast member,
awesome.
and multiple times.
Who
And I played Dr. Scott and Eddie.
Mhm.
So but you know what? You get sick of the time warp after a while.
I just love that it cuts back to the guy doing Masterpiece Theater or the doctor
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
off the song. It is a lot of fun. It was a fun experience. I recommend everyone do it once, and then you don't have
Yeah,
to do it again.
right.
Like going to Times Square in New York City. Do it once, and then you don't ever have to do it again.
Yeah, if you go back twice to that, you're some
Then
sort of
you.
sadomasochist.
I question you more than July Tom getting hit with multiple pre-orders questions you're
Right.
making.
So I guess we should probably find a way to wrap this verbal maze that we've wandered into today up.
Yeah, so give me your best or worst impulse buy purchase story.
Best
Have an-
impulse buy is the Lego Voltron.
Oh, okay.
This is what happens when Jared and I are allowed to go out alone.
Hmm.
We were in North Carolina, uh, and we went to the Jacksonville Mall,
Hmm.
which used to have a lot going on, but doesn't really anymore. And we were
Hmm.
like, "There's got to be toys somewhere in here." And you know that bookstore, that Books a Million, has the coolest toy section of any Books a Million in the world.
Huh.
And we went over to the Lego section. And they had Lego Voltron.
Hmm.
I was like, "God, this is so cool." And Jared's like, "It really is." And I was like, "Oh, it's expensive." And Jared was like, "It really is. Are you
Agreed.
gonna buy it?" And I was like, "We shouldn't buy it."
See,
Off.
he remembered all those lessons in the toy store.
Right. And we verbalized it perfectly. And then acted in the exact opposite way. But I'll tell you what, we were more excited to have it, like,
Hmm.
because I hate putting Legos together. Jared loves it. I love having them. I
Yeah.
hate constructing them, but Jared loves it. So we sat down, we opened it up, and he was like, like, and I had Voltron. He got to build Voltron. It was something we got to share. So that was a great impulse buy. That was pretty expensive, but that's okay.
Did you Craggle that Voltron?
No, I did
No,
not.
because you know, I love the Lego Movie, and as we neared the end of the Lego Movie, and we understood what the Craggle stood for, I kind of had a change of heart. I was like, maybe
Yeah,
Lord,
those sets are expensive. They are expensive, and
maybe
they will shatter.
maybe Lord Business had a point. You definitely you go about it being a lot neater
Mhm.
than because they were just spraying Craggle everywhere and it looked gross.
Yeah.
But you get a glue spray and you cover a Lego build so that the joints kind of fuse and you know that figure's not going anywhere. Maybe
When
Craggle's.
I moved that from the shelf out there to in here, I was
Mhm. Oh yeah, that is a
like a
precious
baby.
child.
Like if I would have carried Jared that carefully when he was young, he would have gotten an academic scholarship somewhere.
You love that Voltron more than me. It's like, no, I just handle him better. You're fine. You'll heal. This won't.
Right. I'll never find them if this shatters. But no, it's not craggled. And I don't know. I worry every time I dust this shelf now. I'm
Oh
like, oh.
yeah. Oof. Yeah. You don't want to see that thing rock or maybe lean a
No,
little
I
too.
hold it by the waist and I feather dust it. It like never moves. Like I stabilize it against the wall and
Don't blame you one bit.
so what is your favorite or least favorite impulse buy?
You know, I may bring up another one that I have forgotten about now on a future show, but for right now, I think my my favorite two impulse buys are Spearhead from Rock Lords because
Right?
it's not.
And that wasn't long ago.
No, it wasn't that long ago, and I think I loved this so much because this is not a figure that like I've been desperate to own. He's not a Grail, but I did really want him because he's a neat figure. He was just very hard to find, very expensive on the aftermarket. And I get that. So seeing him pop up for what I thought was a mistake, like I thought it was like a listing error.
Right. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, and I was like I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go for it because if this is real, then great. And if it's not, then eBay is very buyer friendly, maybe too much so, and I'll get my money back. But he showed up and he's in good shape, and it was a good impulse buy. The other impulse buy is getting my hands on my second Grail. Like
Oh,
this
yeah.
this King Hiss. This is the second. Yeah, again, we talked about this on the Grails, but this is the second King Hiss that I own, and I I impulse bought this second King Hiss just because. It wasn't like the search for him had ended. I had one on display, and I was glad that I had him, and it was great to get a hold of him, and I got him for a really good price. But seeing a second one show up, I'm like, how often does that happen? And no one's bidding on
With
this.
you a lot.
I've had a fair amount of luck. I've had a lot of misses that I don't want to talk about. It's very dramatic. But seeing this just pop up, and it was so soon after I had gotten the first one, I was like, yeah, give me that.
Mhm.
Why not? And I can't imagine that there was somebody else out there who came back and saw that I outbid them on this and was like, no, because if this had been seriously competed for by serious attack pack collectors, all eight and a half of us, uh,
Yeah.
the price would have been a lot more. So this was maybe one of my favorite impulse buys because it was different from seeing them on a shelf or stumbling across them in a bin, but I guess kind of a virtual bin because that's what eBay is sometimes.
Mhm.
But that's what I got. So I'm very curious about what our listeners and our watchers and our viewers impulse purchase. Get a hold of us if you would like to tell us. Our handle on the X Place and Blue Sky is Two Guys Talking Toys. That is the number two, no G after the talking. We're also on Instagram at 2G Talking Toys. Like the episode if you've enjoyed what you've heard. Subscribe, tell your friends, impulse buy them a gift, hand it off, and say courtesy of Two Guys Talking Toys. Until then, take care, everybody.